Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going deep into one of the most powerful books on self-acceptance and vulnerability out there, The Gifts of Imperfection by Brené Brown. This book has touched the lives of so many people around the world, and if you're watching this, you're probably looking for ways to stop being a perfectionist. Perfectionism is a struggle that affects a lot of us, sometimes without us even realizing it. It's that constant voice in the back of our minds that tells us we need to be better, that we need to achieve more, or that we're only as good as our last success. In this video, I'll take you through some of Brené Brown's most profound insights on letting go of perfectionism, embracing vulnerability, and learning to accept yourself as you are. We'll explore her advice step by step, unpacking how each of these ideas can help us break free from the grip of perfectionism and start living with greater authenticity and self-compassion. To start, let's talk about what perfectionism really is. It's easy to assume that perfectionism just means trying to do your best or striving for high standards. But Brené Brown explains that perfectionism is much more than that, and it's actually rooted in fear. Perfectionism isn't about self-improvement or growth. It's about protecting ourselves from judgment and shame. As perfectionists, we often believe that if we can appear flawless, we'll avoid criticism, rejection, or feelings of inadequacy. This need for perfection becomes like a suit of armor, a way of shielding ourselves from vulnerability. But here's the irony. While perfectionism may feel like it's keeping us safe, it's actually keeping us trapped. It prevents us from fully engaging with life, taking risks, or allowing ourselves to connect with others in an authentic way. Perfectionism creates a barrier that stops us from truly experiencing life's ups and downs, and it often leaves us feeling isolated, stressed, and disconnected. One of the most transformative ideas in The Gifts of Imperfection is Brené's insight that overcoming perfectionism requires embracing vulnerability. For many of us, vulnerability feels risky. We're often taught to avoid vulnerability, to present a perfect front and hide any parts of ourselves that could be perceived as weak or flawed. But Brené argues that vulnerability isn't weakness at all. In fact, vulnerability is the birthplace of creativity, joy, love, and belonging. When we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we're opening up to life in its fullest form. We're saying, I'm willing to show up and be seen as I am, even if it means facing criticism or rejection. This is a radical idea, especially for perfectionists, because it means letting go of control. It means accepting that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love and acceptance. Vulnerability is about allowing ourselves to be human, with all the messiness that comes with it, and that can be a huge relief for anyone trapped in the cycle of perfectionism. A major step toward letting go of perfectionism is practicing self-compassion. This might sound simple, but for perfectionists, self-compassion is often one of the hardest things to cultivate. Perfectionists tend to be incredibly hard on themselves. They have a constant inner critic pointing out every flaw, every mistake, and every moment they feel they've fallen short. But Brené Brown reminds us that self-compassion is not about being easy on ourselves or ignoring our mistakes. Instead, it's about treating ourselves with the same kindness and understanding we would offer to a friend. Think about it. If a friend came to you feeling ashamed or defeated because they made a mistake, you wouldn't berate them or point out all the ways they could have been better. You'd likely listen to them, offer encouragement, and remind them that one mistake doesn't define their worth. Self-compassion is about extending that same grace to ourselves. It's about recognizing that being imperfect doesn't make us unworthy. It makes us human. This shift in mindset is essential for perfectionists because it helps break the cycle of shame and self-criticism, allowing us to build a healthier relationship with ourselves.
Brené also introduces the concept of wholehearted living, which is a core theme in the Gifts of Imperfection. Wholehearted living is about embracing life with courage, compassion, and connection. It's about letting go of the need to be perfect and focusing instead on living in a way that aligns with our true values. For perfectionists, this can be a huge change in perspective. Instead of constantly striving for approval or validation, wholehearted living encourages us to focus on what genuinely brings us joy and fulfillment. This might mean pursuing hobbies that we enjoy, even if we're not the best at them. or spending time with people who accept us as we are, without any expectations. Wholehearted living is about showing up for ourselves in an authentic way. It means that we don't have to wait until we're perfect to start living fully. We can begin right now, exactly as we are. Another powerful concept in Brené's book is the idea of embracing good enough instead of aiming for flawless results. Perfectionists often fall into an all-or-nothing mindset. If something isn't absolutely perfect, it's seen as a failure. But Brené teaches us that good enough is often exactly what we need. When we aim for good enough, we allow ourselves to focus on progress rather than perfection. This mindset is liberating because it takes away the pressure to be flawless and gives us permission to simply do our best. Life is too short to obsess over every detail or worry about whether we measure up to some impossible standard. Instead of chasing perfection, we can embrace the idea that doing our best is more than enough. By accepting that our efforts don't have to be perfect, we free ourselves from the constant anxiety that perfectionism brings and allow ourselves to enjoy the journey, even if the outcome isn't exactly as we envisioned. Brené also talks about the importance of redefining failure. For perfectionists, failure can feel like the end of the world. But Brené argues that failure is not a reflection of our worth. It's a natural part of any growth process. In fact, she encourages us to see failure as a valuable experience, a chance to learn and grow. When we stop seeing failure as something shameful, we start to see it as an opportunity. Imagine a life where failure didn't scare you, where you felt free to take risks and try new things without the fear of not succeeding. This approach doesn't just make us more resilient, it also makes us more courageous. By redefining failure, we give ourselves permission to live more fully. We allow ourselves to learn from our mistakes rather than being held back by them. Boundaries are another crucial aspect of overcoming perfectionism. Brené emphasizes that setting healthy boundaries is essential for our mental and emotional well-being. Many perfectionists struggle with boundaries because they feel compelled to meet others' expectations, to say yes to everything, and to prove their worth by constantly overextending themselves. But this leads to burnout, resentment, and a sense of inadequacy. Brené reminds us that setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's a way of showing respect for ourselves and for others. Boundaries help us prioritize what truly matters and give us the space to recharge. Learning to say no when we need to is a powerful act of self-care, especially for perfectionists. It's a way of recognizing that we don't have to do everything or please everyone to be worthy of love and respect. At the heart of Brené's message is the idea that we are already enough. Perfectionism convinces us that we need to prove our worth, that we're only valuable if we're flawless. But Brené's work reminds us that worthiness is not something we earn through our achievements. It's something we already possess. This can be a radical shift for perfectionists because it challenges the very foundation of perfectionism. When we believe that we are enough just as we are, we no longer feel the need to strive for approval or validation. We can let go of the pressure to be perfect and focus on living authentically. This doesn't mean we stop setting goals or striving to grow. It simply means that our worth is no longer tied to those goals. It's about knowing that we are valuable, lovable, and worthy, regardless of our successes or failures. In closing, Brené's message in the Gifts of Imperfection is about embracing who we are and letting go of the need to be perfect. Perfectionism may feel like it's protecting us, but in reality, it's keeping us from fully experiencing life and from connecting with others in a meaningful way. By practicing self-compassion, embracing vulnerability, and living wholeheartedly, we can break free from the cycle of perfectionism and start living with greater joy, courage, and authenticity. If you're struggling with perfectionism, remember that change takes time. Be patient with yourself and take each step with kindness. You don't have to be perfect to be enough. Thank you so much for watching, and if you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's all keep moving toward a more wholehearted life together. See you in the next video.